Hi guys, so spring is getting closer and closer and I'm getting ready to pack up my knitting needles, but I did want to do a couple more videos on knitting before that happens. So today's video is going to be one of them, and it's going to be sharing with you how to make a men's beanie. This is one that has been requested several times, and I know I'd promised it a while back, but yes, we are doing it today. So this is the one that I had made up. It's just kind of got a striped knit pattern, almost a mock rib going on, and I honestly really love this. I think Joe has been wearing it and I think it looks amazing on him. It's got kind of a slouch to it here. Let's see if I put it on, if you can kind of see. I know it's for a man, but yeah, I think a girl could pull it off pretty easily too though, so yeah. Anyway, if you guys are interested in seeing how to make this, then just keep on watching. So for this project, I'm going to be using this Baby Bee Sweet Delight yarn in Soft Licorice, and I've really been enjoying using this. It's just a really soft yarn and it's really pretty warm as well. I've just really liked using it for pretty much any project, and I don't know, there's just something about baby yarn that just calls to me, so I can't help it. And then I'm also going to be using these size 6 needles. These are from Boyer, and they're very, very cheap, but I do enjoy using them as well. So let's get started. So as usual, the first thing I'm going to do is cast on a bunch of stitches, and my personal favorite way of casting on is a long tail cast on. So I'm just going to leave kind of a pretty long tail here, and then start with a slip stitch. So I'm just going to go around my palm kind of in an X shape, and then when I pull this off, you can see I've kind of got a wonky pretzel sort of shape. So I'm going to grab this little loop right here and pull that tight, and as you can see, we have a little loop. So I'm going to grab one of my needles and just stick that right through that loop. Then for the rest of my stitches, I'm going to take this long tail here, wrap that around my thumb so I've got kind of a little loop, bring my needle right through there, and then bring the yarn that's attached to my ball around the needle, and then I'm going to slip this loop off. And that's pretty much how I'm going to cast on all of my stitches, and I'm going to cast on 98 of them. Then we're going to start working on the brim of the hat, and since we want that to be a little stretchier and kind of conform to the head shape, we're going to do a ribbed brim. So to do that, what I'm going to do is start out with a knit stitch. So I'm going to bring my secondary needle right through that first loop from front to back. I'm going to bring that yarn around the right hand needle and then pull that loop right through. I'm going to do that one more time, so I'm going from front to back, bring that yarn around and pull it through. Then I'm going to switch to a purl stitch, and to do that I'm going to bring my yarn right through the center so that it's in the front now. And then rather than going from front to back, I'm going to bring my right hand needle from back to front on that next loop, bring my yarn around again and pull that through. One more time, from back to front, around that right hand needle and through. So then I'm going to switch back to knitting and bring my yarn right through the middle again so that it's in back, and then I'm going to go front to back. This creates a K2P2 rib, and I'm just going to go all the way across my row like this. So now that I've completed one row of ribbing, I'm going to move this needle over to my left hand and then the empty needle over to my right so that we can continue with our knitting. And since I did end on a knit stitch, to continue ribbing with the K2P2 pattern, I'm going to start with a purl stitch. So we want to purl all of the knit stitches and knit all of the purl stitches. So I'm going to go from back to front on this first stitch, wrap my working yarn around, and pull that loop through. It's essentially the exact same thing that we did the first row, it's just that we are switching these stitches out. So we're just going to work to the end of this row, and we're going to repeat these last 2 rows 10 more times. So we're going to have 20 rows in total for the brim of our hat. Okay, so now I have 16 rows of ribbing, and before we start on the main portion of the hat, I do want to do kind of a transitional sort of row where I increase a bunch of stitches just to make room so that, you know, a head can fit in there. So to do that, I'm going to insert my right hand needle from front to back, just as if I were to knit, and then I'm going to wrap my yarn around, pull that through, and before I pull that off of the left hand needle, I'm actually going to go back in there and kind of go from front to back on the back side of that loop. So if you can see, I can kind of move my needle upside down, and then I'm going from front to back on that back side. So I'll show that to you again. I'm going to go in just as if I were to knit a regular stitch, and then I'm going to switch and go from front to back on that back loop as well. So that is just knitting the front and back of a stitch, and then I'm going to knit a regular stitch. And I'm going to kind of do a pattern where I knit one and then knit the front and back of the next stitch, and I'm going to work that way the entire way across. So knit one and knit the front and the back of that next stitch. Then for the next row, we're just going to purl across. So we're going from back to front and purling as usual. So we've done the ribbing and we've done the transitional rows, and so now it's time for the fun part, which is the actual body of the hat itself. And I did want to make this a little bit more fun, nothing too drastic or difficult, but just kind of create more of a striped look, or just kind of jazz it up a little bit. So I'll show you what I'm doing. First, I'm going to take my right hand needle and bring that from the back to the front of my first stitch, and then I'm going to just slip it off. That's just one little slip stitch, and then I'm going to knit the next stitch, and then I'm just going to repeat that kind of pattern through the entire row, but instead of slipping purlwise, I'm going to slip knitwise. So that's going from front to back and just slipping it off, and that's all this row is going to be, just slip and knit, slip and knit. Pretty easy. For the next row of this pattern, I'm going to slip purlwise again, and then I'm just going to purl across, and I'm going to repeat these last 2 rows until the entire length of the hat is going to measure 8 inches. Okay, so I've been knitting for quite a while, and now you can see that it is 8 inches in length from start to finish, and so it's time to start working on the crown of the hat. So to do these decreases, this is a lot easier than it's going to sound, but essentially I'm going to keep the same pattern that we've been working and knit 13 stitches. So I'm going to slip 1, knit 2, slip 3, knit 4, slip 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. And then I'm going to knit the next 2 together. So I'm going to go from front to back with these next 2 stitches. There are 2 of them there. And then knit that just as I would any other stitch. Then, as you can see, we're going to go in with a knit stitch since the slip stitches are a bit bigger, and we're going to work 13 more stitches. So knit, slip, knit, slip, and we're going to get 13 more stitches. We're going to knit the next 2 together, and then we're on a slip stitch first, so we're going to work 13 more. And we're just going to keep doing this throughout the entire row. So now as we switch over to the wrong side, we're going to work that the exact same way that we have been. So we're going to slip that first stitch purlwise and then purl across. Now that we're back to the right side, it's time for another decrease row, and we're going to do it pretty much the same way we just did, except rather than doing 13 stitches, we're only going to work 12. So we're going to slip 1, knit 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So then this is where we'll knit the next 2 together. And then you can see that next stitch is a knit stitch. So we're going to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Another knit 2 together. And then that next one will be a slip. And we're just going to work this same way for the rest of the crown, really, just decreasing 1 stitch in between the K2 togethers. So I've just completed a row of K2 together all across, and so I've got 10 stitches left, and I did cut off a length of tail here, so I'm going to thread this onto a yarn needle, and these are just, you know, plastic needles. So there we go, and then I'm going to kind of flip this over and bring this through the opposite side of the needle. So I don't know that that makes sense, but basically I'm just going through each stitch that's left on the needle. Then we can slip all of these stitches off the needle, knowing that we've already gone through the rest of them with this yarn, and then we'll just pull this tight to create the top of the hat, and then we're just going to quick weave this end in. So now we're going to go to the opposite end of the hat where we have that long tail left, and I'm going to untie this. And we're going to use this tail to seam up the hat. So let's stick this tail back on the yarn needle. And I've mentioned this before in some of my other knitting videos, but I'm not the best at seaming. I'm getting better, but I would actually probably recommend checking out some other people's videos on how to do this. But for me, what seems to be working is to start with the right side facing out, and then I'm going to slip right into that first cast on stitch and do the same on the other side to get started. And then this is going to be kind of hard to see with the black yarn, but there are little bars right in between each stitch. I'm not sure how well you can see that, but I'm going to just go back and forth, grabbing each of those little bars. So there's another one. And you don't have to start out very tight. I'll show you what happens when we get a little bit further. as you can see, I've kind of grabbed all of the little bars from the ribbed edge, and so now I'm going to tighten everything up, and this is really the fun part for me. I just hold this bottom edge kind of tight, and then with this tail, I'm just going to pull it up, kind of like a zipper. And you can see everything lines up really nicely, and it just looks really nice, and it's a pretty finished edge. Plus it kind of blends in, so I love that. And I'm just going to continue doing that until I've reached the very top. So there we go, everything has been seamed up now, and so we have a nice kind of cool basic men's beanie. So there you go, that is my basic men's beanie, and I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Like I said, I really do love how this turned out. I just think it's really a classy looking hat. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and I do try and post videos on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. This week, I've actually gotten all 3 of my videos up. They've just not always been on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But I'm getting closer to getting on my regular schedule, so hopefully we'll be back on track now and everything will be good. So anyway, I hope you guys are having an amazing day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!